is People of the State of Michigan versus Darren Williams, docket numbers 20-538FH and 20-539FC. Mr. Williams, this is the time set for sentencing, and before we go any further, can you just confirm for me you did agree to do this remotely instead of bringing you to the courthouse, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Williams, you were convicted on this first file of resisting and obstructing a police officer causing injury. That is a felony punishable by up to 4 years in prison. On the second file, carrying a concealed weapon, a felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison, and being a felon in possession of a firearm, a felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison. You do have the right to be represented by an attorney. You are represented by Mr. Silverthorne on both of these files. And Mr. Silverthorne, have you had a chance to go through the pre-sentence report with your client? Now, this is the updated, corrected one that we got.
I've gone through it in the past, so I did not get an updated report.
You didn't? After you made the corrections for the
Right.
sentencing that was set for last week, they made an updated report that added the family members?
I checked and I didn't see anything entered by our office, because I don't pick them up anymore. They get electronically sent to me, so that's the method we get them. Let me check, but I don't think I do. Hang on.
Forwarded it to Dwayne on last Monday, the 26th.
Did you?
I can do it.
My office forwarded it to you.
You're right. You're right. You did. Yeah, that's right. I did. Yes, and I did look at it, and I did get it, to Mr. What I was doing is checking things that have been entered since then, but that didn't come through our office. It came through me. Yes, I did. I did get it. Thank you.
But have you gone through
Yes.
it with your client?
Yes, I gave him a copy and we went through it.
Okay, so I changed all the days credit from 268 to 275
Correct.
On all of them. And I did it on the face sheet. I did it on the sheet following that shows the dates of arrest and incarceration. Changed the sentencing date to May 3rd. And were there any other corrections that you had for me, Mr. Silverthorne?
Yes, briefly. They were actually corrections of my taking notes down too quickly when I visited with Mr. Williams about a week and a half ago, because I met with him again today. Under the family, I have Carlton Gant as deceased. It is Tejan that is deceased, not Carlton.
Well, wait a minute. That's in the updated report.
Was it? Okay. Okay. That's all, Your Honor.
Okay. Any objection to the scoring of the guidelines?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Allen, did the people have any corrections to the report or objections to scoring?
No, Your Honor.
And was there a victim who wished to be heard?
And that is something I'd like to address, Your Honor. So when this case came up, obviously there was the assaultive crime too, the shooting that happened. The victim on the case, we couldn't find. We were told he moved to Texas. Our detective could not find him. We heard from his sister who said he moved to Texas. He is not participating. He wants nothing to do with this. So we moved forward with the plea as it is without his participation. And then I saw when Ms. Stout emailed he had some restitution for medical bills. That was the first we've ever heard of him that I even knew he was in the area. So at this point, based on the fact that that hasn't been verified in terms of out of pocket and insurance or anything like that, we're not asking for restitution at this point. If that's something we can verify, we would address it at that time. But that being said, based on his priors and this offense, I think the sentencing recommendation is appropriate. But I wanted to make clear that's how this plea agreement came about, was based on the victim's non-participation. We couldn't even find him, to be honest. We had a detective searching for him. So that's where this came from. And should anything change, if we can verify any of that, or he wants to participate in a different manner, we can address it then. Thank you.
Yeah, I believe it indicated that he didn't even wish to make a statement today, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it did say that. Okay, thank you. Mr. Silverthorne, then I'll hear from you.
Yes, briefly, an allocution. It's been rough on Mr. Williams. I hadn't been aware of this until I spoke with him a little while ago. Tejan is just deceased. On August 5th, 2019, he was murdered in Ferris Park in downtown Lansing. What's made it especially difficult with the pandemic is that the two men accused of doing it have still not been brought to justice. I mean, they're in custody and they're known, but they haven't had a trial. And this has been extremely difficult for him. It's been extremely difficult for his mother. He wants to indicate that his life kind of went downhill from there. Court can see he's charged with possession of a weapon, and it's not legal, and he's found guilty of it, and he'll take his punishment. But between being dead and being legal, he's still illegal. He says it's very, very difficult out there. It's been hard on him. Wants to get out to try to comfort his mother because he's her favorite, and he wants to get to his daughter Brielle option. He would have, if the court sentenced him to the credit that he has now, he would still have approximately 100 days of available jail, and of course NDOC, if he were to screw up. He's been a wonderful client for me to deal with. He's kept in touch with me, and he's actually seemed to be calmer and more mature as I've seen him over the last several months. So we would ask the court to at least adhere to the Killebrew agreement in terms of the sentencing. But if the court wants to give him a shot at probation, he would welcome that. He promises he'll do well. Although he understands he's been on probation before and it didn't go so well. But the pain that he sees his mother in, the realization of the loss of participating in his daughter Brielle's life, have really worn on him. And sometimes it takes things like this to wake up. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Williams, was there anything you wanted to say?
Yes, I would just like to address the court and the people on my behalf of my actions and apologize for carrying and concealing and being a threat to the community. I would just like to send also a sincere apology to Officer Slogan. There's no excuses for my actions, and I'm willing to do whatever is necessary to make up for it to my community, to my family, to the court.
All right, thank you. Well, that is a good statement, Mr. Williams, but honestly, there's like every warning sign present in a case in these two cases. First of all, you were on probation to me at the time you did both of these, and you were on bond in the docket 538, the one involving the resisting and obstructing, when you did the other one involving the weapon. The one involving the resisting and obstructing, the underlying issue was breaking out the window of an ex-girlfriend before fighting with the police. And then the one with the weapon, the underlying facts are shooting someone in the face. So I would suggest that results in an assessment of the highest level of threat to the safety of the community. Therefore, it is the sentence of this court that on docket number 20-538 FH, you're sentenced to 275 days in jail with credit for 275 days served. You have to pay $130 to the Crime Victims Fund and $68 in state costs, and I'm waiving any further costs. In docket number 20-539 FC, you must pay $130 to the Crime Victims Fund, $136 in state costs, $500 in costs to the county based on the State Court Administrative Office calculated average cost of a criminal case in Ingham County. And on count 2, you're sentenced to the custody of the Michigan Department of Corrections for a period not less than 23 months nor more than 60 months. And you get credit for 275 days already served. On count 3, you're sentenced to the custody of the Michigan Department of Corrections for a period not less than 23 months nor more than 60 months, and you get credit for 275 days already served. Those 2 counts run concurrently or at the same time with each other. And Mr. Williams, you have the right to file an application for leave to appeal your conviction and your sentence in this matter. You're entitled to an attorney at public expense to assist you in doing that. If you're making a request for one, you have to make it within 42 days of today's date. It explains that more on a form that we will mail to you. It's called appellate rights. And you should just be aware that that time period of 42 days starts running from today. Okay, and do you have any questions before we conclude this hearing?
Just for clarity, sentenced to 23 to 60 months.
Yes, but they run at the same time.
Okay.
And you get credit for 275 days, okay? You are all set then. You can tell them at the jail that you're all done.